One of the ways to properly interpret the Bible, I think, is to use an acronym that I teach in a course called How to Interpret Your Bible. And the acronym is STOP, S-T-O-P. And the S stands for what's the situation. The T stands for what type of literature is this? Because you're going to interpret poetry different than you are law, right? The O stands for who's the object of the passage. Is it you? Is it ancient Israel? Is it some other party? Is it just the disciples? Who is it? And the P is this passage teaching something that's prescriptive or just descriptive?
Stop, quieto parado. Cuando estemos leyendo un pasaje de la Biblia, podemos decirnos a nosotros mismos, stop, y usar estas 4 letras para hacernos 4 preguntas. Letra S, situación. ¿Cuál es la situación? Es decir, ¿cuál es el contexto del texto? Letra T, tipo. ¿Qué tipo de literatura es esta que estoy leyendo? ¿Se trata de un relato histórico, de poesía, profecía, evangelio, una epístola? Letra O, objeto. ¿Cuál es el objeto del pasaje? ¿Cuál es su objetivo o su propósito? ¿Se le está hablando acaso al antiguo pueblo judío? ¿Se nos está hablando a nosotros en el presente? ¿Se le habla a todo el mundo? ¿Se le habla solo a los creyentes? Y por último, letra P, prescripción. ¿Es este texto prescriptivo o descriptivo? ¿Se nos está mandando a hacer algo o simplemente se está describiendo algo que pasó? Al respecto de este último punto, el doctor Turek hace algunos comentarios.
Now, we don't get a prescription from everything we read in the scriptures. It could be just a description. Like, for example, David commits adultery with Bathsheba. That's not a prescription for us. Let's go commit adultery. It's a description of what David actually did. Now, this could just be a description of what happened. And the object of the passage is not us. The object of the passage was ancient Israel. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't get good insights from the Old Testament. In fact, Paul even says in 2 Corinthians 10, or I think it's 1 Corinthians 10, where he says, these stories were written down as examples for you. And then he goes on to say that there's no temptation that seized you except what is common to man, but God has given you a way out so that you can stand up under it. In other words, he's saying that the Old Testament stories were written down not to us, but for us, so we could see bad examples in the Old Testament and not emulate them, like David when he commits adultery. So not everything in the Old Testament is prescriptive. It might be descriptive, but the prescriptive element of it might be, hey, these guys did this poorly, let's not do it that way, right?